And we are live. Ladies and gentlemen, we are back with another episode of the Consistency Conversation. Today on this show, we have my good friend Adam. We met back in March doing a 4x4x48 competition. And I'm not going to get too much into that right now. I'm sure we're going to get into it as we go on with the conversation. So Adam, how you doing, brother?
I'm good, man. You can't just glaze over the 4x4x48 acting like, I don't know who all watches this, but it's pretty intense. I feel like you need to at least tell people what it is.
All right. So the 4x4x48 is it's an annual competition done by David Goggins, and it's 4 miles every 4 hours for 48 hours. So that's actually how me and Adam met. We met through Instagram. And we both were doing it. I don't even know who followed who first or anything, but we started doing that and we both started looking at each other's content and information, and we kind of was rooting each other on through the whole process, and we both end up knocking that joker out, man. Was that your first time doing it?
It is. And I'm so glad that you broke it down like that, because honestly, that experience, that challenge was life altering.
Yeah.
I mean, I was doing it with a good friend of mine, but and I was really trying to keep up on my social posts while I was doing it. And by the end of it, when you're straight zombie mode, I'm like checking my hashtags, like, wait, what did I put? But yeah, it was, I was doing it with a really good friend of mine, a coworker, and he was jumping rope. And if you can imagine 45 minutes of jumping rope every 4 hours, I mean, calves are beastie. If you check out my Instagram, you'll see his handle was Your Realtor Blake, but I'm pretty sure he might have changed that because he's a realtor. And he was jumping rope, and we had made a kind of a pact at the beginning. We were like, all right, every 4 hours or 3 hours and 50 minutes, we got to call each other, make sure we're awake, make sure that we're ready to go, see how we're feeling. And I feel like throughout that entire challenge, I was just kind of checking Instagram, saw some of the other people posting about just battling through, and that's when you popped up. But you're seeking any type of motivation at the end of that thing, and there's so much power in that. I mean, I'll just go with brotherhood, honestly. When you see other people that are like, all right, they know what that grind is like.
They're all in the suck together.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. What did you did you run all 48 of the miles?
Yeah. So I was I had some of mine outside. I live in Minnesota. It was March. Some of them were pretty cold, and I don't know. I know there's some pretty hardcore people that were out there doing that 2 a.m. run, but I hit the treadmill for my 2 a.m. runs.
Oh, that was me. I was outside for all 48 of my miles. And the first one that I had, so I kind of had a schedule. I said, the first one, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do this. I think the first one I wanted to do, I think I ran with the 20-pound weight vest or something. And then the second one I did ankle weights or something, ruck. But like, I kind of hurt myself on the second set of 8 miles. And from there on, I was in walk mode. So I walked the rest, and that was kind of frustrating. But at the same time, like, I was able to dig deep into this brain of mine. You know what I mean? Did you have any like experiences, like, or any, like, I want to say life altering events, but did you have anything that like really stood out to you mentally, or, you know, why you was going through that?
Totally. There was one thing that I did, and I didn't know we were going to get straight into it like this, but you know, like I said, there was so much power, and this whole thing is about consistency. And I'll tell you this, like, leading up to the Goggins challenge, all of last year, I know we're going to talk about running, and running is mainly my thing, right? But I hadn't run like consistently ever until the pandemic. And so really I had, when 2020 hit, it was at the beginning of the year that I was actually thinking, I was about to turn 35 and I was literally having that whole new decade, new me. And I don't care how cliche it was. That was that kind of turning point. I was like, you know what? For the last 5-6 years, I had this, lose 10 pounds, do this. And I kept putting that on my New Year's resolutions list. And I got sick of lying to myself. I was like, how many more years am I going to write this down before I actually do something about it?
Yeah.
And so 2020 hit. And it started out with super, super small changes to my routine. And it was like, I was working in an office building that had 4 stories. And a lot of my coworkers would take the elevator. Really? We're taking the elevator, 2 or 3 flights. I couldn't stand that.
Yeah.
But I did it. That's what everybody was doing. And so at the beginning of the year, I was like, you know what? I'm just going to take the stairs. And I had this little thought of, don't take an elevator at all in my building. And so I started doing the stairs, working a little bit of cardio, started doing the stairs between meetings. Then I'd go do the stairs on my lunch. One day I was like, I wonder if I could do 100 flights of stairs in a day. And it was kind of funny because I'm doing them in these like, 4 flight sets and different stuff like that. And I'm working in a corporate office building, like people are probably, what is this guy doing?
What's wrong with this net?
Yeah, he's just sweaty all the time. What's he doing?
Yeah.
But so that was the beginning of the year.
Okay.
Fast forward a couple months, I'm down in Arizona, and my brother-in-law went for a run, and I think it was 4 miles. And I remember at the time thinking, 4 miles? You ran 4 miles? Man, that sounds hard. I wonder if I could run 4 miles. And I went out for a run, and that was my first run, February 2020. I think I put in like 2 miles. Didn't feel good.
No?
I didn't have very good shoes. I didn't do anything, and I got home from the lovely Arizona, February, back to Minnesota. It's cold. It's cold. It's nasty. I didn't really think too much of it. And then I was like, you know what? This running thing, I wonder how far I could run. And I started running, and I ran, I think I was at 3 miles when I said, I don't even know, like, I didn't know what runners call like 5Ks. I didn't even know what that is.
Yeah, I know what it is.
So I've got my my AirPods in or my headphones in, and I said, Siri, how far is a 5K?
Yeah.
3.1 miles. And I was like, oh, I was almost there. I was feeling all right. I was still far away from my house. So I was like, how far is 10K? You just double that. I could have just doubled that. But I ran 6 miles.
It's like one of your first runs?
First runs. And everything hurt. When I got back, my legs like locked up on me, and I was like, what am I thinking? But something really shifted when I was like, okay, I'm not a runner, and I just did that. What's next? And that's when it all started, and just really started to domino for me, because I'm sure it's this way for people working out in general, but especially for running, the addition of a mile, the subtraction of a little bit of your pace, you carve 10 seconds off a mile time. That was a sense of pride that I hadn't had for a very long time. And
I can see why. I can see it.
Those little kind of tweaks that I was making, I was like, okay, I'm digging this. And so the pandemic hit. I started working from home, and I no longer had to make my 20-minute commute. I'm huge into audiobooks, and I was big into podcasts and stuff. And so I was like, all right, if I don't have to drive anymore, what if I just start running? And I don't know, it's kind of like Forrest Gump in it, man. I just started running, and when it was all work from home, I just started running a ton by myself. And there was so much, just that little progression, and that's what the consistency is really all about. I mean, I started learning all these lessons by myself, but what was wild about it is I didn't have anybody teaching me. I didn't have any organized races. I would just run. I would see what hurt. I would figure something out.
Yeah.
I might YouTube something like how to breathe better when you're running.
Yeah.
And I would learn these lessons. And when I learned that lesson, I would just put it into practice. And so it really, really progressed from there. And I started running farther and farther, a little bit faster. And I remember, making these posts, and we'll talk a little bit more about Instagram and stuff like that. But if you kind of scroll back, one of the things that I do love about social media, there's a lot of things that I hate, but one of the things that I love is the ability to kind of get your own timeline, right? And roll it back. And you look to some of those early ones, I'm like, I just ran 10 miles for the first time ever. I just ran 10 miles sub 10 minutes. I wonder if I just ran my first half marathon. And, these are huge accomplishments. And every time I did it, I was like, all right. Yeah. What's next?
Yeah.
What's next? And the burning question always was, if I can do that, what else am I capable of? If I did that, what else am I capable of?
Yeah.
And so starting running in 2020, a couple years ago, for some odd reason, I had wrote bucket list item, run a marathon. I was convinced I was going to go couch to marathon in 1 year. And on November 1st of 2020, which was the day after Halloween, I got little kids, man. What was I thinking the day after? Candy binge.
Yeah, candy.
And the day after was actually the daylight savings time. was that morning.
All the things.
And I was on this mission that I was going to run a marathon. And so I actually had a single buddy of mine that was willing to run a half marathon. And so the whole thought was I was going to start off super early in the morning, Minnesota, November 1st. I think it was 27 degrees and windy. I had my headlight on. I took off. I was feeling good. And the whole thought was I was going to run this loop that I knew that was my kind of half marathon loop around my house. And then I was going to meet my buddy who was going to run the second half with me. And it was a pretty special time because I finished up the half and I met up with him. He was like, how you feeling? I was like, you know what? I'm feeling pretty good. And we took off. And once again, when it comes to running, a big part of running with somebody, especially if you're going to do something like this, is that you have a kind of similar pace or running style. Yeah. And I had known that he was pretty consistently running like 9.5 minute miles. Okay. And I was like, I feel like the second half of this marathon, that'll be good to have a pacer, because I was kind of shooting for the 4 hours. I was like, that would be crazy.
I haven't done one
miles.
Yet.
Next year.
Why not?
But yeah, we took off, and I just remember I had a main thought of like, don't look down. I wear an Apple Watch to track my runs. And I just remember thinking, like, there was a lot of times previous to the marathon that I would like obsess about, like, all right, it vibrates every mile. Like, what am I at?
Yeah.
And I wanted to make sure that, especially for this marathon, that I didn't look down unless I needed to. Like, don't check it at mile 16. Don't check it at mile 17, mile 18. Like, don't look down. I had this thought that it would kind of haunt me. And so I started running with that buddy, and I just remember he looked over at me. He was like, "You're running fast." And I looked down. And we had ran a mile that was like 8:15 or 8:30, and that was like mile 15 or 16. And I was like, oh dang, all right. And I actually had a second that I was like, all right, I'll slow it down for him.
Yeah.
And then I was like, no, I'm not slowing down.
No?
He can push it. He can push it. And so we were running, and at 25 miles, I looked down, and I believe I saw 3 hours and 51 minutes. So marathon's 26.2. Moral of that story is when I was in a world of hurt. My legs were burning. Before the marathon, I never ran more than 20 miles. 20 miles was my max distance. We could talk all about mile 22, 23 when I was cramping up, like, what? And I looked over at that buddy, and he just kept me on track. But when I looked down at 25 miles and saw that I was at 3 hours and 51 minutes, I was like, I can do this.
Yeah.
And something took me over, man. And I was running. I was cussing at myself. I was like, you're not going to do this again. You got to break that 4 hours. And I had kind of like visualized it all that night before. And I crossed that finish line, man, this was a marathon that I designed myself around my neighborhood. And I was running around the block. My kids were outside, and I had actually like not timed it perfectly. So I had to run past them and then run a block and then come back. And when I saw that I had done that under 4 hours, that was like what I had visualized. Whew, it was something special. It was wild.
Man. So you mapped out your own course?
Mapped out my own course. I had a pretty good half marathon, like go around that park, around these houses. So that was November. The whole reason I told you that story is almost immediately after I ran the marathon, somebody had posted, I bet you're going to do this next. And it was the Goggins challenge. And when they posted that, or when they showed that to me, my first thought was like, I can't do that. Can you see what that says? Can't, never, could. And the whole thought behind that is, if you say you can't, then you never can.
That's so true. So true.
And so this guy just posted it kind of as a joke. Got in my head. I was like, you know what? That's a couple months away. We can do that. That's what led me to the Goggins.
Man, so had you already heard of David Goggins or read his book or anything before then?
Totally.
See, I didn't.
What?
So here's the deal.
Oh my gosh.
I didn't get into Goggins until the pandemic, right?
Stop.
So what happened was, I had a whole mind shift and whole life altering experience during the pandemic too. I was at home and I started running. So for me, my journey to that crazy kind of started similar. It started with running. I just started back, I think around August or September, around 2020 or so. And I just started every day just getting up and running or walking. I started off running. I think I did like 40, 50 something days of running. Then after that, I started adding in some walking. And I did like 106 or 108 days straight of just running every morning, like 4:30. And during that time, I got introduced to David Goggins through, I don't know how, heard of him somewhere or something. And I just started listening to his stuff. And the way he spoke was the way I could receive it. Because he was no BS. He like, look, get off your butt and do what you need to do. Very direct. No cutting corners, no excuses. And then a lot of our lifestyles kind of parallel with some of the things that we've been through in life, through the military, overcoming obstacles, different things like that. So I can relate to him on a lot of different things. Yeah. And then being sometimes the only person in your circle who wants to go and nobody else does is hard too. But man, when I heard that podcast, so I heard the audiobook, like you said. So when I was getting up running every morning, I had cut out all the music. I just was like, you know what? I need to take time to learn about me. And I cut out the music and I threw on podcasts. Got a couple different podcasts I started listening to, motivational things, stuff that's going to inspire me, stuff that's going to make me financially more secure in the future. All of these things. I'm like, I'm going to get 2 for 1. Work on my physical and my mental. And that's what happened. And then it's a 4x48 thing. And I got a friend named Sandon. He had did it the year before and he had talked about it. But way he did it, he drove to a spot from his house and then like drove back, and he was talking about how tired he was and how loopy it was and stuff. And so I'm just like, all right, man, me and him, it worked out, and like we had did, I think before then, maybe after that, we had did like 1,000 burpees or something like that. So we were on this big kick to do like all of these hardcore things. And because I had him, it worked well. But he was like, nah, I'm not doing it this year. But honestly, low key, I just tried to one up him. And that's kind of how I got into the 4x48 challenge, because he wasn't going to do it. You know what I mean? And he talking about how his experience was. So I was like, man, I can do it, because I met him back in CrossFit a few years ago, and we ended up having a good relationship, and everything just ended up working out, and we was able to do that together. So
what's crazy is something about Goggins, and it's just, he's such a lone wolf.
Mm-hmm.
Everything he does, it's just him.
Yeah, he's an introvert.
Just him.
Yep.
And first off, when you were talking about the audiobook, there's so many stories that he tells in that audiobook. Man, so deep.
Mm-hmm.
And the way that he tells the stories, it made me empathize. It made me grateful. It made me feel terrible. And to see the adversity that he overcame and the way that he talked about, I mean, the pull-ups thing, like setting the world record for pull-ups.
He did like
the way that he talked about running a 100-miler on Myoplex and Ritz crackers.
Yeah.
That is what, I'll tell you this, after I read that book, or after I listened to that book, I never once said like, oh, my finger hurts. My finger's sore.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, it's just sore. I never said anything small or stupid like that. Mm-hmm. Because after hearing that, that's what pain is.
Yeah.
That's what pain is.
Mm-hmm.
So it's interesting hearing you talk about it, because you can relate with the military background and having that, but you also just talked about a buddy, and I talked about doing it with a coworker and a friend, and my friend who helped me run the marathon. And man, there's so much power in other people.
Yeah, but it's so much power in other people. But just like you said, at the end, like with David Goggins, he's a lone wolf. At the end of the day, we are still in this by ourselves, no matter what. You know what I mean? Yep. And I think that's what a lot of people have to understand. No matter what, you are a lone wolf, no matter what, because there's no guarantee that no one's ever going to be there. You can't depend on people, no matter how much we want to. And, I know a lot of us have a small circle and stuff like that, but no one's going to take care of me like me. You know what I'm saying? And, I appreciate all, the small handful of buddies and stuff that I do have that I work out with from time to time. And it is helpful, but at the same time, them jokers ain't always there, and I ain't always there for them, because we got, families and, professions and careers and, our own journeys to follow. You know what I mean? But it's always good when you connect with somebody. But yeah, man, just like, I'm trying to make this a whole David Goggins podcast, but you know what I mean? But at the same time, man, like what he has, and I think what a lot of people don't like, the people who don't like him, are the people who have an issue with accountability, because he makes you be accountable. You know what I mean? Like you said, you live to all them stories, and now like your perspective on certain things are different. I can remember clear as day when I stopped complaining about the heat. You know what I mean? For the most part, and I was in Iraq, and I would walk past. We was in full battle rattle, and I walked past the little thermostat. It could have been broke, but the joker said 117 degrees, and it was freaking hot out there, and it was dry, right? And I was like, man, it's freaking hot. And then I'm just walking by hot, and then something was like, you know what? it is hot out here, but you on the FOB, bro. That's the forward observation base, which is just like, it's in Iraq, but you know, it's not, you're not out there in the street, you know what I mean? But this is just as still in a hostile country and all these different things. But where was I going? It was my train of thought real quick.
Sorry.
Oh, so I just started thinking about, you know, all the soldiers who were outside of the wire, and these dudes had on everything they had on, and they were actually getting shot at, you know, all the other stuff that went on out there. And I'm like, man, I get a meal every day, you know what I mean? I get to eat, I get to go to my room every night, and these dudes don't. They're out there like really, really, really fighting the war. And after that, I was like, you know, I had to stop complaining. You know what I mean? My perspective, you know, kind of shifted while I was in Iraq about just complaining and stuff, you know? So it's funny how, you know, we go through these certain situations and things, and our mind can totally shift from, you know, just how we see life in general.
All about perspective. I'm with you. That I just saw a post the other day, and it said the job that you're complaining about is the unemployed's dream. The house, the bills that you're complaining about is the homeless dream.
Mm-hmm.
It was an interesting post, you know, that brings all those to light when you've got those small complaints. Just can't take it for granted, man. We work hard for what we got, but
Are you planning on doing the 4x? Are you planning on doing the 4x4x48 next year?
The same guy that posted it for me as a joke, kind of took on his own running journey this year, and I'm pretty sure I convinced him that he's gonna do it with me. So I think so. The funny thing is, March 4th is my birthday, and so if it's the same. If it's March 5th again, I don't know if it's like based on the calendar, or I haven't looked into what it is next year. But if it's right that same weekend, look it up. Let's see where we're at.
Let's see where we're at.
I'm pretty convinced I'm going to be doing it again.
If it's the first week in March, it will be start on that 4th. Yep.
All right. Man. What's kind of cool about that is like I just you know, there's something about, we were talking about the kind of the pride that you get from those challenges. It's just a different way to spend a birthday. I don't know about you. I've just had a couple years in the past where I wouldn't necessarily, you know, celebrate things the same way. I don't know if it's obviously having kids changes you a little bit, but your definition of fun in my mind changes pretty much every year. And I don't know if pain is my new fun, but I love pushing boundaries. I absolutely love it. So I think I'll be doing that.
Yeah, one thing that I didn't learn from him, but I kind of related back to myself. He said something that I've always thought, but I never heard anybody say it. And there I go. I lost my train of thought again. But anyway, it happens from time to time. So you said you may or may not do. Oh, hold on. Let me back up. Let me go back to the fun part. Yeah. So for me, he said something about the accomplishments of that feeling of accomplishment after. You know what I mean? Chasing that. And that's something that I always did, but I never knew it until he said that. So like for me, the whole run, the whole 4x4x48, that feeling of accomplishment once we got done, oh my, that was the best thing. You know what I mean? And so like now, like he said, and like I do and I always have, it's that feeling of accomplishment after I do the 1,000 burpees, after I do, you know, my workout in the morning, even if it's just a 6-mile walk, that feeling of accomplishment once I get done is like, I don't know. That's what I chase now. Like I really like that feeling. And the thing about it, I feel like I'm, you know, getting some dopamine released when I do that, and I start my day off well. And like I kind of sort of can't live without it. You know, I'm kind of addicted to that feeling of accomplishment. And I don't know, I love it. I don't know about you, but
I mean, there's no better way to get it, right?
Yeah.
There's no better way to get that. And I'm right there with you. And because you're an early morning man like myself, I think the power comes from, it's lonely in the morning. It's dark in the morning.
Yeah.
But what you said, if you're still doing this or not, I mean, I mow through audiobooks. I mean, we're talking like a book or two a week sometimes, because most audiobooks that I listen to are between 5 and 8 hours of listening time.
Yeah.
I'm working out a decent amount. I'm taking some long runs. And so I mow through audiobooks. But like you said, that is honestly like my time that is the physical, the mental, got the heart rate up. There's something about the way that I absorb stories and information when I'm on the run. There's a motivational speaker named Les Brown. I don't know if you've ever heard of Les Brown.
I know who Les Brown is.
I believe it's called Unshakable Character, but there's a something that I listened to, or The Power of Purpose is what I've listened to when I ran the marathon. I've listened to it during 10-mile races, and for some reason Les Brown speaks to my soul. Like,
I'm gonna write that down. What's that called again?
It's The Power of Purpose. And I mean, absolutely amazing audio that is just, it's something that keeps your mind off the mileage. And but yeah, when you do that, like, there was a time this year that a buddy of mine was like, hey, do you want to do a sprint try? And I was like, I don't even know what that is. And he said,
I'm not that good at swimming.
if I remember right, well, I'll tell you this, I hadn't like swam before. So he's got a pool. And I think he said it's like 40 laps. I might even be botching the distance. If people are listening to this right now, they're probably going to know what I'm talking about. But I think it's
we ain't perfect.
A quarter-mile swim, a 10-mile bike ride, and a 5K. A 20-mile bike ride and a 5K.
Yeah, so I'm looking it up. Short distance triathlon use consists of 750 meter swim, 20K bike ride, and a 5K run. Okay. Yeah, see, the 750 meter swim is what it get me.
Yeah.
Like, I can swim in a pool, but 750 meters is just, that's too much for me. But I can do the bike and the run.
Well, you should have seen me in this. I was got my David Phelps or my Michael Phelps on. I had my my swim cap. I don't know if it was backwards, inside out, whatever. My goggles were over or under, but the whole thing, like, we just powered through it.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. We did that on a Friday. And we started, I think we started at 6 a.m. 5:30 or 6 a.m. It was done, and I went to work at 9. There was nothing like that feeling of logging into work. My boss said, because he expected me in like 30 minutes before or something like that. He's like, hey, what's going on? And I was like, oh, I just did a sprint triathlon. Sorry, like, did something happen? He was like, no, I was just wondering where you were. And as I typed that out, do you know how powerful that felt?
Yeah,
I was like,
absolutely.
And most people are like, oh, what'd you do this morning? Oh, I ate some Cheerios and scrolled CNN.
Yeah.
Like, they didn't do anything.
Facebook for 2 hours while I was on the toilet. Yeah.
They didn't do anything. And I think so much of what we just shared is that's where the power comes from. It's so lonely. It's so quiet out there. And it's just, there are so few people doing that. That's where the power comes from.
Yeah, exactly. Knowing that you're in the minority. Because I know people probably be like, man, you freaking arrogant prick. But you know what I mean? But it's just like, no, it's like, it feels good to like do something. You know, like when you go out and you brag because you got a new car, you got your nails done or something like that. Like, I feel good when I get up and I work out and I go into work and everybody's tired and lazy and complaining. And I done meditated and then ran 5 or 6 miles and then worked out and ate and took a nap and did all of this stuff even before I walked through the door. And And I had a whole day before people even walked through the door, and they're all upset and mad and cranky and stuff. And I'm just like, man, y'all obviously do not know what the meaning of life is. You know what I mean? And I started really, really, really finding the meaning of life during the pandemic when I started walking and running every single morning. And it has been nothing but, it ain't been perfect since then, but my life has, took off, for the positive in so many different ways. I owe all of that to, just being consistent and being, fitness and, doing it every day on a regular basis. Do you work out every day, or are you just 3 days, 5 days?
It's usually something every day. The reason I stuttered a little bit is because I just did 75 hard. I don't know if you've done 75 hard or heard about it. But for those of you that haven't, 75 hard is basically follow a specific diet, drink a gallon of water a day, exercise for 45 minutes twice a day. One of them has to be outside, which is a key. Read 10 pages of a physical book, which is actually hard for me because I usually audible, but I got a couple books over
physical
here.
Book.
Yeah. So you gotta read it, and I don't know why I get sleepy when I'm reading.
Me too.
I like audiobooks.
Me
I like
too.
the story, but anyway, in the morning I was good with it. So I would wake up, stretch while I was reading, and then I started running. And so even though I would read the book in the morning, I would still run, and then I was listening to my audiobook. Probably gonna get a little sidetracked here, but as I was listening to that, there was a book, I want to say Running Man. I think it's Running Man by Charlie Ingle. And this guy ran multiple 100-mile races, but he ran across the Sahara Desert. He was an ex-drug addict, and he was sent to prison. I believe he tried to run 100 miles while he was in prison, so he had to do some favors for the guards, but he ran around the yard 100 miles in his, I think he said he bought some Nike shoes for some commissary or something like that. But so the reason I'm telling you that is because I was doing 75 hard. I was running every day. That wasn't a big deal for me. I was just running 4 miles, around that for 45 minutes. So it was like 4.5 miles a day. But I listened to this book probably 7 to 10 days into the 75. And I hear this story about how he ran across the Sahara Desert, and he ran basically 50 miles for, I want to say, 90 days straight. With a couple friends of his. And just as we were talking about David Goggins and how he kind of reframed your mind into thinking what's possible, just as I had told you all of last year was this these little gains, and I was like, I wonder what I can do next. When I heard that this guy, who's obviously an ultra athlete, he's been doing this for a long time, endurance athlete that's got years and decades under his belt, was able to do this. It just made me think, well, I can run 4 miles a day for 75 days in a row. If he can do 50 for 90, I could do 4 for 75. And that's literally where my brain went. And so I decided that I was going to run every day for it. Well, I'll tell you this, after about 21 days in, legs started getting a little bit sore, started getting a little bit rough. I felt like my ankles were feeling a little different. I just kept doing it. Some days I would rock a calf compression sleeve. Some days I had a little knee sleeve for a couple days in a row. Some days it would be the left side that hurt. Some days it would be the right side that hurt. And then after about 35 days, I probably went 15, 16 days with no pain at all, was running quicker than ever. And then at 40 days, there would be these little times or these little sections that kind of hit differently or felt differently. But I did it. And the best part is, on I think it was like day 73, I set a goal for 2021 to run 1,000 miles. And I knew that right in the middle of this, right at the end of this, the close of this, I was going to be right to that 1,000-mile goal. Well, there's a Twin Cities marathon, but it's Twin Cities marathon weekend, and they've got a TC 10-mile race that I had signed up for. And I was like, all right, I'm running for all these days in a row. I'm going to run this 10-mile race. I'm going to surpass my 1,000-mile goal at this 10-mile race. And it was on like day 70 of my 75 hard that I was doing this. And I was like, man, I'm running this. And I've just been overtraining for the last days.
Yeah, overtraining.
So I was like, whatever, I'm going for it. And I get there to this race. And mind you, this is my first in-person race, like ever. The energy was crazy. The porta potties was crazy. Like seeing all of these people, their pre-race rituals was crazy. There's a guy walking around in a full trash bag and headphones, just like eyes closed. I was like, wow,
all kind of weirdos.
Intense.
A lot of cool people. There's some weirdos out there.
Sure.
The running community is something else.
Oh my gosh! But I start running in this race, and when you run in races, you have to put what your estimated pace is going to be, and so they put you in these corrals based on your pace.
Oh, you was at a big run. You was at a big race.
It was a big one. There was a couple thousand people.
Yeah, it's a big race.
I start running, and I'm feeling great. More energy than I've had in so long. There's all these people clapping. There's all these great signs. There's just energy from the people, energy from the spectators. Once again, this is the first time that I'm like feeling this, because I was out grinding by myself for 1,000 miles in the last year. And I loved it. And I'm 7 miles in, and I was like, man, my legs are getting a little bit sore, but I was still feeling good. And a guy that was kind of running a little bit behind me and to the right yells out, "Let's go, 8-minute milers." And I said, 8 minutes. And I looked down, and I saw I was running at an 8-minute pace through 7 miles. And it took this random dude to yell out, "Let's go, you 8-minute milers."
Yeah.
To decide, that's not who I think I am, but today that's who I am. Yeah. I'm an 8-minute miler. Let's do this thing. And the second I realized that I was kind of close to that pace, just closed out this race with the 1,000 miles on the year, finished this. It was a personal record, 10-mile, overall time. And I just felt magical, man. I got goosebumps after I surpassed that 1,000 miles, but it was a pretty powerful one. So that was late October. So I just closed the thing out 75 days in a row.
Nice.
And after that, because of this like strict everything, I had this like, all right, I'm going to rebel against all of it. Oh, there's also no booze. I don't know if you're a drinker, but there's no booze throughout the 75 days. And I don't know
I'd be fine with that part. I don't drink a lot, just here and there, mostly socially. I don't drink a lot. So I would have been fine with that.
That one, I was like, it was kind of hard for the first couple weeks, and then you get used to it.
Yeah. Like anything else.
Yeah.
So what I did, I went and got all these medals.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, like during the pandemic, and then like I said, last year, what I did, since I was decided to run all of these things, I think I signed up. I think I did like 10 events last year, like 10 running events last year. That's where most of those. Well, I've had some of them, but a lot of those medals came from that. And I was just like, there's some 5Ks, some 8Ks, 10Ks. The Army 10 miler, I did that last year. But I'm a runner, and like I like to push myself physically too. Not you know what I mean? Like lifting weights, but more so like the burpees and the body weight stuff. I'm big into the body weight stuff right now. You know, I lifted all the weights back in the day. You know, I did CrossFit. You know, I do some CrossFit stuff still. But man, the body weight stuff now. But I still like the running too. Like,
you called me out for the Murph, didn't you? You called me out for the Murph. You wanted me to try that out.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Couldn't do it.
Yes. Oh, I sure did. I forgot all about that. You should do it. We should do it next year.
There.
All right. So, all right. So if anybody watching, if you don't know what Murph is, is it Memorial Day weekend?
I can't remember.
May. It's in May. Whatever. It's one of them in May, I think. And it was a fallen soldier. His name was Murphy or Murph. If I'm getting it wrong, someone please don't beat me up about it. I'm human.
Just put it in the comments peacefully.
Yeah, put it in the comments peacefully. There you go. So pretty much it's you do a mile run with a 20-pound weight vest, and then you do 100 pull-ups, 200 push-ups, 300 squats, and then you finish with another 1 mile run. But you can kind of mix up the in between how you want to. So I did it for the first time fully this year in May, and it wasn't as bad as I thought. You know what I mean? It really wasn't, because I've always been able to do pull-ups because, you know, I'm old, and back in the, you know, in the 80s when I went to school, like there was a thing called the fitness test or whatever we had to do. And part of that was pull-ups. So we always did pull-ups. But with the 20-pound weight vest was the hard part. And I was still not fully recovered from back in March from the other one. Like I had kind of just started running again, and like I was still bad off by Murph, but man, I still had fun with it. You know, I completed it. I did it by myself. I was supposed to have a partner with me, but they ended up not making it, and you know, so I did it, man. But if you can do pull-ups, I think it's worth that experience, because I broke mine up. I did 5, 10, 15, like 5 push-ups, 10 push-ups, and then like 15 squats, and just kept cycling that over and over and over. And that's how I end up. That's how I did mine. Some people do straight 100, straight 200, straight 300. No, not me. I ain't doing 100 pull-ups straight with no 20-pound weight vest on. So
right.
Yeah, you should do it, man.
Something about the squats. I've always struggled with squats, and I don't know if there's something that's, like if it's an actual injury, or if I was just so weak when I did a squat one time, my left knee, there was like a spot behind my kneecap that I felt like this. It felt like I got stabbed.
Ooh.
And it was when I was helping somebody move, and like I literally couldn't walk right for about a week. And that had happened one other time when I tried to do squats, and so literally I said, squats aren't for me.
Yeah.
And that's not like, it's not a good excuse, but I won't forget like how long that put me out. And I was like, just from squats, okay. Nobody other than you has ever challenged me to do a squat. So I'm like, I think I can get away with the rest of my life not doing squats. We'll see.
Yeah. One thing I want to circle back to is when you said that you was experiencing that pain, right?
Yeah.
And then it kind of went away. And then it, you know, you kind of just literally fought through the pain. And I know Goggins talks about that in the book, and I know that's something that I have personally experienced. And when I heard Goggins say it the first time, I'm like, it may be a little bit more common than I thought, or at least in certain circles, I don't know. But I never heard of someone saying that they literally ran through the pain and then it got better, because he was talking about how he wrapped his ankles and legs and he had shin splints, or you know, those things, and ended up being fine. And so did you? Because like I said, I've done that. So is that kind of what you were saying? Is that like you was able to run through the pain doing the 75? Was it the 75?
Yeah.
Or was it the marathon?
The 75 days in a row. I will say this: the marathon, the marathon was definitely the most challenging by any means. And I think when I was I alluded to mile 23, there's a spot that's it's a regional park that's right by my house, and it's called Bunker Hills because it has a couple hills. But Minnesota hills, I was born and raised in Colorado, and so I'm used to mountains, not these types of hills. But when I say it, I mean, we're maybe talking about like 50 foot up and down. And at mile 23, I hit one of these hills, and my quads just like locked. They just locked. And if I did not have that friend that I was talking about running with me, because he wasn't so far in, he was just running. I told him, I said, hey, lock that 9.5 minute mile down, right? Just try to hit those miles, and I'll try to keep up. And there was something about the connection, man. He wasn't telling me to keep pushing really hard. Like he would just look back, and it was almost that look. It was like a disappointed parent look. Yeah. Like come on, get up here.
Yeah. I get that look from old ladies when I'm on a 5K. Yeah. like I'm coming, Grandma. Like, man. Old ladies motivate me on the run, but go ahead. I'm sorry.
Totally. No, I'm with you. That happens all the time. If they pass you up, you're like, oh my gosh. It's actually so inspiring when I see people that are like, 70s that are out there running. I'm like, wow, what did it take for you to wake up this morning? Like, how many of these have you done? And I just picture people's backstories all the time. But there's so much power in that. I'm like, I want to be that guy.
Yes, that's me. Like I walk around and I see people who are older than me, and they be in shape, and I'm like, excuse me. I'm like, how old are you? And they were like, well, I'm 75. And I'm like, oh, I'm good. Cause like, I want to know like how long I can keep this up. Like legitimately, you know what I mean? You know, you always see people on the internet, like it's like an 85-year-old lady, it's like a 70-year-old guy that's still doing this stuff. But most of these people are rare. You know what I mean? I want to know literally, you know what I mean, realistically, like how far can I keep this fitness thing going? You know what I mean? Like I want to be in it for a long haul. Like I want to be 80 and be like, man, I bet that dude still work out. Like I don't want people to look at me and be like, I bet he used to work out. I don't want that one. Give me the first one. You know?
No, it's powerful. First off, I think you can do it. I honestly think that the ticket is keeping yourself in motion, keeping your body moving. So obviously being in this type of environment, doing what you're doing, step up, reverse the aging process. But if you got your head on right, if you're surrounded by people that are, pushing you still. But I think the key to it is probably not attempting to better your younger self. Like don't try to keep setting like new and more records. Like I don't know if you're going to be able to be, the oldest person doing the Murph, because I feel like that's where injury might happen. But you know what? Maybe that's the whole goal. Maybe that is what you want to do. Be the oldest person to complete the Goggins.
Yeah. I kind of get what you... Actually, me and Goggins are right around the same age, so he'll probably be the oldest one doing it. He'll probably be 100 years old still out there freaking doing it. You know
I can't believe he's still alive. He's such a beast,
He's
man.
Freaking beast. I mean, he's had like heart surgeries and everything, man. It's like... And like I said, this ain't all about him, man, but like, if anybody's watching or listening, like that, like his book and everything he has, is a really good inspiration. I don't know all about his personal life, but it seems like his character and everything is good. I don't have zero issue with the dude. You know what I mean? He seems like, he doesn't allow you to make mistakes and cut yourself any slack. And I think that's what we need more of. Even as a society, you know what I mean? I think a lot of times that's why people don't complete their goals, is because they're not consistent and because they're not really true with themselves. You know what I mean? Because and people look at me sometimes, they go, oh man, you're this, you're using the military. But I'm like, it's a bunch of fat people in the military. It's a bunch of overweight people in the military. You know what I mean? So just because I'm in a certain situation doesn't necessarily mean that I'm going to do what I'm supposed to do. I'm my way because I've been consistently working and being into fitness and moving my body for so many years, and I don't stop, too many benefits.
Absolutely. And that's, I mean, once again, that's kind of what Goggins says about his military stuff, where he said, after he got through SEAL training and stuff, he said it was more of a fraternity. I thought people were going to keep pushing the boundaries, and they weren't. They were just resting on their laurels, and I wasn't about that. And he was still doing his own thing. So it's absolutely about the people that you surround yourself with. One of the things that you had touched on, there's another audiobook, Living with a SEAL by Jesse Itzler. And if you haven't heard of this, then please, I'll probably gift it to you after we get off the phone here. I'll gift you. Do you use Audible or do you use something else?
I don't know. I'm about to get Audible again. I haven't used it because I've just been doing free podcasts and stuff. But now I'm like, I want to get back into some books again.
All right. Well, here's the deal. I appreciate this conversation. I'll gift you this book.
There you go. I like it.
So it's called Living with a SEAL, and it's by Jesse Itzler. And Jesse Itzler is a famous guy who started out as a rapper entrepreneur. He started Zico coconut water. He had all sorts of different stuff. He's kind of a crazy character. You've probably seen him in some other things.
He used to be like a big or something. No, I might not be talking about him. I might be talking about somebody else.
You'll have to look him up afterward. He's kind of a unique character, but because I've followed him after this, I might be overplaying what he used to be. But Living with the SEAL, he's telling the story about how he saw a guy run the Badwater Ultra Marathon, and he was such a beast that he's like, I need that guy to live with me. So he hires this guy to come out and live with him, and he makes an agreement that he will do anything that this guy tells him to do for I think it's 2 weeks. It turns out to be David Goggins. All right. And so as you listen to this book, and as you're hearing all the things, if you're familiar with Goggins' story, you're going to be like, this is Goggins. This has to be Goggins, right? So it's powerful to hear that it is. But I'll tell you this, when I listened to it was very early on in the running, and he tells stories about, he wakes me up at 4 a.m. and we run 8 miles, and then 6 miles later, and then 4 miles later. And I remember the first time I heard it, I was like, what he did sounds impossible. And now as I'm following through, I'm like, I wonder if I could do all that. I could probably do all that.
Is that the same dude? Because you know what? Is that the same dude? He said that Goggins woke him up 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, like he was in the bed with his wife, and Goggins came in his room while he was laying in the bed with his wife and woke him up and told him get your stuff and let's go.
Yep.
That dude. Yep. Oh, okay. So I've only seen a couple of clips. I didn't know he actually he wrote a book about it. Heck yeah.
So when you listen to this, the reason that I love it is because this guy, and he's married to Sarah Blakely, the Spanx owner. Sarah Blakely.
What? Oh, I don't know if that's... She's like a billionaire, ain't she?
Yeah. Yep. So he's doing well himself, and then obviously their family together. They're doing pretty well. But he's a good guy, and does a lot of stuff with running, and has his own company with that, and all sorts of other things. But that audio, I loved it because this is a guy who has made it financially, is doing all those things, but realizes there's just more to life. He hires a Navy SEAL to basically punish him for 2 weeks. For what reason? What reason at all? And I don't know. I really enjoyed the story and loved it, but I feel like there are a lot of things, once again, with these early morning wake ups, workouts, there's just power in your own mind, just knowing that you can do it. Yeah.
Do you ever get a little, I know I kind of touched on it, the arrogance part, you know what I mean? Do you ever, I know, I said before, people will say, this kind of an arrogant or cocky mentality, but, you know what I mean? Do you, I'm trying to word it the right way. You know what I mean? Like, how do you feel after? I know there's a feeling of accomplishment, but honestly, like sometimes when I come back from my run and it's 5 o'clock and it's dark and it's cold and it's no one out there, like low key, I feel like I'm better than them. And I don't know if that's an arrogant or a cocky way to speak or something, about my neighbors. No pun intended. I love y'all neighbors. As long as y'all clean up the poop out my yard. But you know what I mean? Like, I don't, not trying to be arrogant, but it's like, I don't know. Is that being arrogant? I don't feel like it is, but I can see how someone can say that is being arrogant.
I see what you're saying. And I think the biggest piece of it, I've been struggling a little bit with this recently with people don't give a shit what you're doing.
Facts.
People don't give a shit.
Mm-hmm.
And I've noticed this because some of the things that we just talked about are some of the things that made me most proud.
Mm-hmm.
I could post them online and I might get a like from my aunt, my mom, maybe one friend that comments on everything, and that's it.
Yep.
And I can look down at that and go, wow, that meant so much. To me, nobody gives a shit.
Facts.
And so I feel like unless you're running around saying, I could do more than you, or check out that I just finished that marathon in 3 hours and whatever, or 2 hours and whatever. Someone's always faster than you. Someone's always better than you. Somebody's doing more than you are. So I think, whether or not you agree with that statement, a lot of what I've been doing this year is just like, it's been, what is the purpose of me doing what I'm doing? And then what is the purpose of me sharing what I'm sharing? And I say that because we're doing a podcast right now that hopefully will get into some people's living rooms, basements, on their phones, and that some of the words that we're speaking will help them, motivate them, inspire them. But if you do things that is just to prove to others that you can, then I don't think anybody cares about it. Everybody's starring in their own story. I feel like we just got to try to motivate, inspire, and hopefully somebody finds their own voice.
Because that's just one of the thoughts that I have when I come back. I'm like, heck yeah, all y'all over here laying in y'all bed. You know what I mean? I'm up 5 o'clock. I just got it in. Like, I feel like that. You know what I mean? But it's not to like say that, I really don't think that I'm better than them. It's kind of it may be a way of me kind of talking to myself or something like that. You know what I mean? Maybe just, using self-talk or something like that maybe something like that, because, it's never intended to belittle, and everything, even like when I put off stories, like I feel exactly how you feel. You put stuff out, it's like, no one really cares. You know what I mean? The only people who care are the people who are in it with you. You know what I mean? Like, that's how we connect, 'cause we both was in the suck together. You know what I mean? So I totally get that, man. I totally get what you're saying.
I'm trying to, so there's two things really that I want to talk about. One is it's running your own mile, or not judging other people in their mile. And I think I had this main thought because I was running this path every morning, and I would run by a couple high school kids that were getting ready to get on the bus.
Yeah.
And I had this thought about, what do they think about me? What do those kids think about me? Some days I would be on mile 12 of a half marathon that I decided to run starting at 5 a.m. Woke up at 4:30, took a pre-workout, started running at 5, and I'm on the 12th mile when these kids are getting on the bus to school.
Yeah.
And they probably see me in my headlight, my little reflectors. I have no idea what's going through their head. One day I might ask them, but here's the thing. I feel like I have been driving on the road and I see somebody running, and I've either judged their pace or judge their form. And I don't know if they're on their first mile or their 26th. You know?
Yeah.
Who am I? Who am I to judge? I don't know how many miles they've run. So I think that's a big piece of it is kind of letting people run their own mile. But yeah, there's a certain element of it that is just like, I do want to help people. I do want to inspire people. And so there is this balance that I'm trying to find of, I did this, I can do this, I know that you can too. Do you want to come with me? I think that's where I'm trying to be. And moral of the story is, if I post something and if one person sees it, you know, they're just scrolling, they don't even like it, they don't comment, they just see my face, like, yeah, I get it, you run every day, dude. Yeah. But they scroll. This is about consistency, right? That's your word, consistency. Yeah. If they see me every morning for 30 days, and they scroll past me and go, I get it, dude, you run every day, I get it. I'm in their head a little bit, right? And that's a good thing, because I don't want people to think that I don't want people to think I'm better than them. I'm not rubbing it in anyone's face. I want them to come with me. Yeah. I want them to come with me.
Yeah. It's good on this side, man. Like, it's fun on this side. I think there's a lot of accomplishment. There's a lot of self-love that comes from this. There's just a lot of mental growth that comes from, you know, just being consistent and, you know, taking care of your body. And then the longevity of it. You know, one of the big things for me that came out of this was, you know, doing all of that running and stuff, was the longevity and understanding the why. And like you said, the purpose. Like, my purpose is not for me as much anymore. My purpose is to be around here for my kids, for my grandkids, for my great grandkids. When I'm, you know, when my kids are in their 40s and 50s, they can reach out and they can call me. They can reach out and have a conversation with me. You know, I'm not gone. You know, most of all the elders in my family, they've already passed. So I'm one of the oldest ones, and I'm 45, you know, and I'm one of the senior dudes in the family. So, you know, having life longevity is something that's important to me, you know, so I can be here for, you know, for my family, for my boys, stuff like that, you know. So I got to stay in it.
I love that you bring that up, because you know, as much as we may have put Goggins on a pedestal, you know, in all of my following of his story, I don't know if he has kids.
I think 90% he has one daughter, I think.
We don't know. We don't know. He doesn't ever talk about her. So I'll tell you this. Yeah. As much as I idolize him for certain things, and I respect him for certain things, I'm trying to be the best dad I can. And I'll tell you this, I don't want to be a Goggins dad, because I don't think he cares about his kids. If he does, he doesn't show it at all.
And that's a hard life. Like, when you're that introverted, and, you know, how he's blown up. And then, you know, I can just speak from a personal experience. Just being in the military, it's just hard on family. It just is. You know what I mean? When you go away for 12 months, you come back for 11 months, and then you go away for 15 months. You know, it's hard on families altogether. You know, and especially doing what he did, and then continually doing what he's doing. Like, I've missed birthdays, holidays, Christmases, Thanksgiving, anniversaries, you know, you name it, you name a holiday, and I have missed it. You know, so having family and, you know, different things like that is so key. And that's not something I would trade with Goggins either. I don't know all this about his personal life. He may have a great family, but like you say, you don't hear about it. I want to say he had a daughter, or have a daughter, or a stepdaughter or something. I kind of remember, like, I heard about it when he talked about something, but I'm not, I can't, I'm like, he don't talk too much about it.
Yeah. So. And I think, I mean, that's a part of it though, is like, when you think about everything that you create or that you're doing, for me, I got 3 little ones, man. And if you want anybody to put you in your place, every
Yeah.
time I tell them how far I ran, they could care less.
Yeah.
The day that I finished the marathon, I'm laying down in my front yard. I can't
Mhm.
move. And my daughter
Yeah.
jumps on me. She goes, "Do you want to come jump on the trampoline with
Yeah.
me?" And I was like, "Okay, my legs are broken.
Yeah.
I can't do anything."
have no clue what 26 miles look like. You know,
But
it's like
I
they
know. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead, man.
I know that they're internalizing some of these things.
Oh yeah.
And it's about the principles and it's about sticking to it. And I don't know how or in what form it's going to rub off on them. You know, and kids almost never get into what you want them to get into. So I'm
Yep.
not going to try to push them down any path of running or anything along those lines. But it's just I want them to know that most of the time when they wake up is right when I'm getting back from my run, pulling off all my snow stuff and got a icy beard just before they're going to school.
Yeah, man. Hey, Adam, man, it's getting late, man. It's 11 o'clock over here on my time. I know
we did it. We closed down the bar.
Yeah, man, we closed down the bar, man. It is so great talking to you, man. We definitely need to do this again, man. But before we close out, man, I'm gonna give you opportunity to plug your business, to say anything you want to say to anybody, you know, about whatever it is you want to sell them, man. So have at it, man.
Sure, I greatly appreciate it. I guess really on Instagram, you all can follow me on The Things I Try, at The Things I Try. I've got a photography business, but you can find everything on The Things I Try and follow me from there, especially regarding running. But I really appreciate the conversation. And just like we spoke about, really, if you follow me, just know that you're taking a step and path and finding somebody that is really pushing boundaries, personal boundaries. And I'm just hoping that people follow along those same journeys, because if you're seeking any way to find some satisfaction, some regularity in the world of chaos right now, there's no better way to do it than running or a fitness journey with somebody. Waking up with Garfield and I at 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah. All right, folks, there you have it. There's Adam. And until next time, stay consistent and stay fit. 365 days a year. We are out.